Hi Isaac Asimov, my teacher told me to ask you about the Enlightenment. The Met Profs asked me a hard question. What is the relationship between Enlightenment ideals of reason and progress and its critical expression in science fiction? I will try to help you, Martin Armstrong, but listen carefully to what I have to say. Immanuel Kant summed up the Enlightenment as man's leaving his self-caused immaturity. Simply, it is having the courage to use your own intelligence. Is the motto of the Enlightenment. Do you mean to say that the application of reason could improve the human condition, where religious belief could not, such as the separation of church and state in the American Revolution of 1776, which showed how Enlightenment ideals could be transferred into political democratic reality? Good example, but the next revolution did not turn out so good. You could say the Enlightenment was darkened by the French Revolution and the following Napoleonic Wars. Alright, here is a bit more detail. Under those circumstances, man finds himself placed in a circumscribed situation, where he has to apply particular rules and pursue particular ends. In these situations his reason must be subjected to the particular ends in view, so that there cannot be any free use of reason. But when one is reasoning only to use one's reason, when one is reasoning as a reasonable human being, as a member of reasonable humanity, then the use of reason must be free and public. You look confused. There is enlightenment when the universal, the free and the public uses of freedom are superimposed on one another. Okay, Martin, look at it this way. There is enlightenment when the universal, the free and the public uses of freedom are superimposed on one another. Okay. What about the philosophers? Okay. The Enlightenment thinkers believed in the importance of reason, reform, and freedom. Also, in the eradication of superstition and bigotry, religious fanaticism, and the application of reason to social issues and problems. They also thought that the spread of knowledge, through projects such as the encyclopedia and the expansion of natural rights, such as intellectual freedom, freedom of the press, and religion, would produce progress while improving the human condition, where religious belief could not. Okay, that sounds good. Did all the Enlightenment thinkers, philosophers, agree? And what about the rulers? I am getting tired, so I will make this as short as possible. The Enlightenment contributed to a profound transformation of attention away from theological and religious questions and toward the secular study of society. Religion remained important, but Enlightenment thinkers argued that religion was essentially a private issue, a question of individual conscience. Enlightenment advanced the secularization of European political life and laid the foundation for the social sciences of modern era. Many historians and philosophers consider the Enlightenment to be the origin of modernity. The philosophies argued that reason rather than religion should direct social and political life. At the same time, however, the philosophies disagreed about what reason revealed. Here two examples for you, Martin. Adam Smith endorsed the concept of laissez-faire and disputed the prevailing economic theory of the day mercantilism and argued that individual self-interest, even greed, was quite compatible with society's best interest. Jean-Jacques Rousseau's view society itself threatened natural rights and freedoms. Man is free and everywhere he is in chains. So he came up with the idea of a social contract in 1762, that argued that people contracting with each other to surrender their individual interests to the general will, the good of the community, could be a source of universal morality and freedom. His works also inspired Karl Marx later in the 19th century. Wow, you sure like to talk. So Smith was an economist whose policy can be seen as a cause of the Depression in the 1930s. Rousseau, as social enlightenment philosopher, inspired the Russian Revolution. Wow, talk about things not working out. You have the basic understanding. Now let's ponder this for the evening before we examine the remainder of your question. Good idea. Okay, then we will talk tomorrow. But before you go, here are a couple of books to read. The Foundation series I wrote a while back. It will give you a good insight into how mankind tries to improve the human condition. See you tomorrow, Martin, and you can ask the last part of your question. Just one last question. How is this connected to the relationship between Enlightenment ideals of reason and progress and its critical expression in science fiction? I have to go now, but just watch these short video clips and we will talk tomorrow. Good night.